Hi everyone, my name is Cameron. Today we're back at another book review on building wealth one house at a time. So I actually finished this book, but we hadn't finished the video, and not much has happened. I mean, a lot of stuff has actually happened. I went to the eye doctor today. I don't need glasses. That's 20/20 vision, which is amazing. And I got the bottom row of my braces, so if I talk a little, like slurring a bit, then like weirdly, then um it's probably because of that. Because if I put my mouth in certain areas, it'll start to poke me. And school starts in like Thursday, and same for my brother. My brother's going to his first year of high school because his first year was online and it's different. And I'll probably be able to see my friends again tomorrow. Not much will happen, but yeah, today is family day, I guess, and let's get started. So we left off on chapter 10, which was using a real estate contract to your advantage. Last time we're talking about like who to invest with, rules, and all of that. Now we're going on to using a real estate contract to advantage. Now we have a quote from Mark Twain, which is like this author. Those who don't have, wait, wait, those who don't read have no advantages over those who can. Because people who can't read don't learn anything from books. People who don't read also don't learn anything from books. So there's no difference from people who don't read to people who can't read. And so that's a good quote. So, well, this is an important thing he said. He said that when you're about to invest thousands of dollars and promise to pay a lot of money through a contract, make sure you actually sign. Well, no. Make sure you actually read the contract. Because a lot of people have long contracts and they don't read them. And you have to read your contract to know there's not anything tricky in there or to know what you're agreeing to. Because if you put your signature on something, you can't take it back. So it's very important that you read it and you don't want to screw your life over by a signature. So, he said also to keep it simple. A lot of real estate contracts are confusing, intimidating, and very long, but you want to have, they're also prepared by attorneys who use big words because the attorneys, they have a very large vocabulary and they make things confusing a lot. So make sure you ask them to make it more simple, make it shorter so you can read it, easier to understand so you're not being like tricked or anything. And don't sign until you take the time to read it. And so like if you don't read it, then maybe one day you'll figure out that you signed to give away a ton of money or something. So form contracts protect the seller, realtor, and the attorney. So realtors always represent the seller and a lot of the people, and most of the time people like attorneys don't want to sign the contract sometimes because anything that makes them liable they don't want to sign because they don't want to get in trouble for anything. And you also make contracts that will protect yourself and whatever. Let's get into some stuff. He also said after you sign the contract, make a copy for each party. If you don't have a way to make a copy, make two originals. Make copies of the contract for everyone to read. And contracts can also be modified apparently. So I guess if people agree, they could change the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Chapter 11, making the offer. Talk with the sellers before you make an offer. And understand the seller's motivation before you make the offer. So first, when you talk about the seller before you make the offer, you will know if they're anxious to sell, if they're desperate to sell it, if the situation and you have to understand their motivation. You could start off by asking, why are you selling such a nice house? Then they will answer with their answer, and they might say something like, I want to move out. If they want to move out and they're not desperate, then they'll probably give you a high price, and it'll probably be expensive. But if they're saying, I need to pay off debt, I need to move in with my family, I can't afford the house, I filed bankruptcy or whatever, then you know that's probably going to be a pretty cheap house to buy. It also might be destroyed a bit. So when you understand the motivation and talk with them, you could then make an offer. Tips for when you're buying. Let the seller make the first offer. When they make the first offer, you know the absolute highest you have to pay. For example, like, let's say, I think one day my mom was negotiating about chairs that we got, and she let the guy that was selling the chairs make the first offer. He said some like really expensive price, and now my mom knows that's the highest price she has to pay. And he also said it was non-negotiable. Did you negotiate it even though it was non-negotiable? The chairs that we got.
Oh, it's which one?
The tan chairs.
Oh, it's a negotiable.
I'm pretty sure he said that they're brand new and the price is non-negotiable. And then you ended up negotiating anyways.
No negotiation anyway.
And I guess that worked out. The guy was fine with it. I guess the rules weren't that hard anyways. So, when you make the first offer, you now know that you don't have to pay anything above that. Then you can work down below. Let's say the chair is $200. Now you know you're going to pay somewhere below $200. And you can make offers between that range. And house sellers normally ask for more than they expect. So you could obviously go a lot lower than the price because they likely raised it for extra money because who wouldn't? And I said offer number one, never try to think for the seller. Make your first offer, and offer you know will make money, and at a certain price you might have a bargain or whatever. So yeah, don't try to think for the seller. On the second offer, sometimes it takes time to get like more than one offer. It takes more than one offer to get acceptance. They might counter your offer on the house with terms, prices, agreements or whatever. Like if you say I want this house for $500K, with upgrades, then they might say I'll take $500K, but I'll give you the house as is or whatever with the terms. So, what?
Yeah.
Okay. If you offer number 3, if your first offer they counter it with like another price, with that small move, that means they're likely not to down it because they seem really firm on it. But maybe it will be better than nothing, because if you say it is a $300K house and you say $200K and they say no, $250K, then I guess it still works. But you can always try to go lower, and now you know the highest you have to pay, $250K, unless of course they change their mind, which is the worst part. Or if you want a lower, say if you still want $200K and you don't want to take the $250K, then you can give them better terms. You could say, I will pay a higher down payment, I'll give you the money quicker, or whatever, because maybe they're willing to trade money for time, and like that. Oh yeah, you should always use a home inspector as a safety net, because you want to inspect the house that you're going to buy to make sure there's not anything wrong with it, and it's not crazy stuff. They're not hiding a hole in the wall, or like the attic is messed up, or the roof is leaking, and the ground has a hole in it, it's cracked or whatever, and like the windows are smashed. You have to inspect the house for termites and whatever, so that you get a good deal and change the price accordingly. They should home inspectors should check out all the major systems such as the plumbing, electrical. Very important because the house next to us got burned down because of electrical issues. My mom thinks that was probably from like someone who's being not careful and left the fire on or something. But I still think it was probably electrical issues because it was an old house. And plumbing, yeah. And heat, air conditioning, very important. This place didn't have air conditioning. My mom had to install it, right?
Mhm.
It took a couple of days.
They have it, but it's I don't want it.
Well, yeah, it came perfect in time for this summer. Unfortunately, last summer we were burning up. It was super hot. This summer it's not that hot actually. I don't know where all the heat went. Maybe it's because we have the AC on all the time. But the roof and structure, the foundation and whatever, because sometimes your foundation messed up. Like there's trees at our backyard or whatever that might mess up our foundation or something. And the roof. When we got the house, I think there was a couple of bricks missing on the roof. But I think we got that fixed, or maybe we'll fix it one day. And all right. 4 secrets to getting your offer accepted. First, keep your offer simple. Avoid long, complicated contracts because sellers will refuse to sign them because they simply can't understand them, which is very understandable because he just gave the advice to read the contracts. So when you make things simple, they will understand, they get to the point. That's why sometimes I don't like talking for a long time. And whenever my mom asks me a question and I give her a short answer, she wants me to talk for longer. But when I already gave my best point. So maybe there's a question like, what's your favorite color? I'll say it's green because I don't know. Actually, I don't even know what I like the color green. Grass. We can't explain why we like colors. It's just colors.
Well, it depends on when you need to talk more and when you need to talk less. If it's unnecessary, you should not talk more. You make more mistake, or you bring up more issues.
Second, make a net offer of all if you paying all the closing costs, and you have to know what the closing cost will be and calculate into your offer, and it'll allow the seller to know how much they're getting or whatever. And third, offer to buy the house in as-is condition. It allows the seller to leave the house without doing any work.
And back to the thing that you have to know the closing cost is for yourself. It's not for the seller. So for yourself, so you know what is the lowest offer you submit to the seller.
Third, offer to buy the house in as-is condition. And it allows the seller to get simply out of the house, don't do that crazy work. And also, by taking all of the risk, you can increase your profit. Well, you don't have to take all the risk because now you have an inspector. You know what's wrong, you know how much it's going to cost, and you know how much you could possibly make from it. So, you take a little bit of risk, you could neutralize the risk a bit, and you can get a lot more profit when you pay something very simple and get a large increase on the Alright. So finally offer to close quickly. Sellers will often accept lower prices that will close sooner because they might need the money now because they're really very desperate. I think buyers have the advantage normally in most of these deals because the seller is normally desperate. Not everyone's desperate, but if you're selling a house, you likely are desperate because if they weren't desperate, they'd likely stay where they are unless they want to move to a different state or something. I can't see myself moving to another state like California because California is just simple. It's nice. I don't know where else I'd move to. There's not much in other states.
Warm California is fun, nice, warm, yeah.
Yeah, it has the beach in it.
There's a lot of things to do.
I can't think of another state that would be fun. Texas, it's probably really hot there. Florida, alligators, or whatever. But, alright. Now these are just some tips. Identify a potential bargain purchase. Ask a lot of questions. Questions are good. My mom likes me to ask a lot of questions. My dad doesn't like me to ask questions. He likes to have me figure it out myself. And I'd rather ask questions to make things quicker. Um, write down the one urgent problem you can solve for the seller. Like maybe you can give them better terms. You can pay them a little bit more for ensure deal. You can pay the closing costs. You can do whatever. And research the market rent and likely net income the property will produce, so you know how much you can make, how much how much other houses are making. Because if you look at the rent at the neighbors, it'll probably be similar to the rent at the house you're going to look at. And
not just the neighbor, you have to look at the square feet of the house and the style of the house, you know.
yeah, they're really similar.
You want to compare apple to apple.
And maybe see how much the house you're buying has been rented for in the past. Get the contract accepted and signed by all parties. You get like third parties or whatever to help you sign it. Let's see what other things are useful. Read closing documents very carefully. Walk through the house the day of the closing. After the seller's completely out of the house to make sure you know what you're getting. I don't know what's wrong with my throat. Secrets of professional negotiators. All of us are negotiators. Some are better than others. Benjamin Franklin said, "A penny saved is a penny earned." And I'm pretty sure he agrees with it, but a lot of the people... Can I go get something? Unhealthy? Alright. Let's water real quick. Alright, hope that clears my throat, because I feel like coughing a lot. Maybe always some cucumbers later or something to help. Yes, so... penny saved is a penny earned. A lot of people like Robert Kiyosaki don't agree with this because they don't like saving. This John guy and Robert disagree with a lot of stuff because John says that Rich Dad Poor Dad is outdated. It probably is because it was like in the 1900s or whatever. And while Rich Dad says that his house is not an asset, John says the house is an asset. And geez, my throat. So, a penny saved is a penny earned. That's what he says. And what I think about that, well, penny saved is penny earned. Not really, because if we were using it in that sense, I could say, I refuse to spend $1 million. Does that mean I just made $1 million? No, it's just, you just keep your money. Like, if you were to buy a couch for $200, then you have a $200 couch. If you didn't buy it, that doesn't mean you made $200, because even if you did buy it, you could sell the couch and still keep your money. Kind of like that. And Robert highly opposes selling because he says that you could use your money for making more money instead of holding it on, because inflation will kill your money. And he says that Benjamin Franklin was a excellent negotiator. Well, he suspects that, and he understood that when you were saving a penny when you buy something, which I agree with, if you're doing a deal and you save a lot of money by getting the lowest price, then yeah, that is earning money because you save yourself from buying something expensive while getting the same thing. So you literally earn the money. But kind of like that. So you spent $200K for a $500K value house. That means you made some money off of it, of course. Oh yeah, one-sided deals often fall apart before closing. A lot of stuff like one-sided deals fall apart because if one side gets benefited too much, then the other side will disagree and it'll fall apart like that. People like win-wins, and real estate is a lot about win-win. Sometimes people like to get one-sided wins. Like he doesn't really show a lot of mercy when it comes to deals because it's he separated business. Why did I say like not business from charities? So he would try to get the best deal no matter how the financial struggle is on the other side. He takes advantage of people sometimes, and that's kind of how business works. Stocks, it's lose-win, of course, because when you make money in the stock market, someone else lost their money, and it keeps going like that. So whenever my parents lose money in the stock market, some other guy probably made a lot of money. So real estate, you get a nice house, they get money, and you go on your different paths and live happily for whatever how long you have the house and the money. And this is a negotiation matrix. You have something like I win / you lose. You lose, I win. You win, I lose. I win, you win. Obviously, if you want the I win, you win, a lot of people go for the I win, you lose, and I'm pretty sure no one would agree to you lose, I lose. that's just
there are some sad people, some evil people or jealousy people.
You lose,
they lose. They want other people to lose too.
Yeah. Also, I heard a story. There was a man once in China. A single man on Valentine's Day booked every other seat in a movie theater to separate all the couples. It was kind of like you lose, I lose. Uh-huh. That probably explains why he's single. And you win, I lose. That's just really sad. I mean, I guess I win, you lose is the most common thing people probably go for because a lot of people don't care about others. They just want money for themselves, which is understandable. The I win, you lose, it's when you're buying from a seller who's short on time and resources, must sell. You make the seller pay a low, take it or leave it offer, go really harsh, and take all their money and make them go bankrupt or whatever. So that's the I win, you lose. The you lose, I lose is when one party in negotiation has most of the power, which is normally the party of the money, and the party can over leverage the other party, and they make a horrible deal on a take it or leave it, or low offer to the homeowner who's behind on his payments. And like both lose. You win, I lose. Sometimes it's wise to lose a negotiation because something like he had a long-term tenant. Why are you saying tenant? Tenant to call him to ask if he would pay half the cost of the paint if he would provide the labor to repaint the interior of several rooms. He said no, he wouldn't pay for half the paint, and he would pay for all of it if the tenant was his favorite color, antique white. So you can get your terms, but get the worst deal. Like if someone was about to paint your house pink, or the seller was about to paint his house pink, you're gonna say, how about this? I will pay for the paint as long as it's the color I want. So sometimes you have to lose on purpose to get your better terms. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, paint can't be that expensive. It's like $40 for a bucket. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't paint stuff. The I win, you win is when a seller is under a lot of pressure to sell. You make them an offer that gives them a reasonable profit and gives them enough money to move and rent another house, while you make enough money for yourself. So you give them a good deal, they give you a good deal, you live happily ever after, and that's great. But you might not win as much, of course, because you gave some of the money to the other party, but
it's minor. The one that you give to them is minor to you.
Yeah, but still.
But you win the majority, yeah. But people just feel like they don't want to lose, right? So you give them some win, so they're happy, so they feel like they're smart.
Yeah. It's also, he said, why to separate business from charity. So let's say in a situation where you're dealing with a single mother with 7 children. The dad left as soon as she got 7 children, and they're going bankrupt, and they're about to live on the streets. So he said that he would still take advantage and take all the money he can, and he said not to confuse business with charity, because if he were to give her a really good deal, she would probably think she did something right and not improve. And that might actually be a bit better than living on the streets, but I guess it's his opinion. So that's probably why I want to do a lot of charity in the future, if I make enough money for it, hopefully. He also said that now he's talking about negotiation. It's the best time and place to negotiate. When you're the buyer, you need to choose when and where to negotiate the purchase. You want to be well prepared, in good shape physically and mentally before you begin a negotiation, so you can be in the right mental state, so you don't get very angry, you don't yell at them, you don't say something to offend them, you know what you're talking about, you don't get sensitive, emotional. You need a good meal, be well rested, take plenty of time to think through what you plan on saying and how to respond to them. And only when you're at your best and well prepared should you negotiate for tens of thousands of dollars. He wants a plan. You should have a plan. If things are not going according to your plan, then you need to take a break and regroup, because if they're winning the negotiation, they have amazing reasons for why they should get a higher price, and you understand, like, that's actually a pretty good reason. I gotta rethink what I should say. So where to negotiate? When you're buying a family's home, it's better to negotiate somewhere other than the home for many reasons, because homes are full of distractions, the kids, the pets, or maybe the neighbor dropping by and whatever. If you're going to make an offer in their home, you need to take charge of the situation and eliminate distractions. Tell them to mute their phones, turn off TV, tell the kids to hide in their room or something, and the pets to lock them in a cage. I don't know, keep them in their room. He also says to ask the sellers to meet them outside of their home with their file on the home and the purchase documents, insurance, tax bills, and their loan statement. This is asking a lot of the sellers, but this is a test, because if the sellers are only mildly interested in selling, they'll decline the offer. But if they really want to sell, then they will accept it, meaning they're desperate, they really want to do negotiation with you, and it'll be a lot more helpful. So it's a very nice test. You want something like a place to negotiate, like an office, a conference room, a bank, or whatever, to negotiate. Alright, before you negotiate, secrets to professional negotiators. Know the value before you make an offer. That's kind of the definition already. Negotiate for things that are least important to you first. If you negotiate starting like appliances, then you try to get the appliances or whatever, I guess. And never bid against yourself. One time he bid against himself at an auction. There were only a few serious bidders at an auction once for him. And one bidder got so excited that when buying the house, he bid twice in a row to secure his place. He bid $65,000, and when no one else acted, he made another bid of $70,000. That's very useless. He just threw away $5,000 in the drain. Like, get 50 $100 bills and start tearing them up. It's very hard to listen to. But I guess he really wanted to secure. He was like, well, this is definitely going to be my house. And I don't know what kind of house he's buying for $70,000, but I mean, I guess it'll be fine.
Real estate, Detroit.
He bid against himself. So sometimes silence is the best way of negotiation. Like one time, he bought a property from this guy. He made an offer, and the dude just looked at him. He said nothing, and his eyes conveyed that it wasn't good enough. And after a long time, he asked what would be a fair price. Then he didn't respond. Then his silence forced him to bid against himself, and then he finally responded. So it was like, hey, I will pay 500,000 for this house. Silence. Okay, how much do you want? Silence. Okay, I'll pay 600,000 for the house. All right, I'll take it. It's kind of like that.
Mhm.
Silence could force you to pay more. When a deal is good enough, quit negotiating and buy. One of the best buyers he met was Jack Miller, who said, "Don't steal in slow motion." If you find a great deal, don't try to steal anymore, because as time passes, there will be like a lot of bad stuff might happen to the property. Tax rates might go up, inflation. You might not have the money. Emergency will happen. The sellers might have already found another guy to buy it. So make sure if it's good enough, buy it now. Don't get too greedy. Like in the stock market, if you're holding on to stock for too long and it just drops, then it's kind of your fault. Even though you're up, you just wanted more money, but you didn't get more money. So, alright, I think that's enough for today's video. My brother's up next for today. He's not getting away today. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. Alright, 3 things we learned. We learned negotiation, not to steal, in slow motion. The secrets of negotiators: don't bid against yourself. The negotiation matrix: I win, you lose, I lose, you win, I lose, I win, you win. How one-sided deals fall apart, and how to always read your contract. So my brother's up next. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys next time. Bye for now.
Okay, good job.